The following is a public access production. It is not produced, sponsored, or endorsed by this station, the local government, or the cable providers. The program producer is solely responsible for the content of this program.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Bummy's Kitchen, part 3, or episode 3. Unfortunately, we missed last time, but we're back, and it's the start of fall, kind of, somewhat. Well, actually, it is. And today was 64, which is really nice. So I thought, what better than to do the thing I always do as soon as fall starts, and that's make chili. So we got everything we need here, but just to do a little rundown, I got 1.5 pounds-ish of ground beef, 1 can black beans, 1 can kidney beans. This was 1/2 of a large onion diced. If you have smaller onions, you could do like 1.5 onions. We got jalapenos. This is my first time putting jalapenos in, but I'm kind of excited. I think it should be good. 1/2 of a can of tomato paste. Seasoning blend. This stuff is, what was this? About a tablespoon of cumin, tablespoon of paprika, teaspoon of cayenne, tablespoon of garlic powder, teaspoon of cinnamon, teaspoon of nutmeg, I think that's it. Sour cream, cheese. I got the Mexican blend. Coffee. I know it sounds weird, but I've got a reason for this. I don't know about you guys, but when I make chili, I get pretty tired, and I start to snooze. So I put coffee in, 1, because I like coffee, but 2, because I feel like it keeps me awake after, and I don't hit the hay. So about about a pint-ish of beef stock and some chips to go on top, and crushed tomatoes. So. Oh, and you don't really need this, but I did. I'm kind of experimenting here. I wanted to do kind of like a brandy whiskey kind of thing. I didn't have that, so I went with a spiced rum and reposado tequila. Not quite the same thing, but they were both brown, so I said, why not? So yeah. All right. So first we're gonna stick the beef in. Oh, I love that sound. I have it a little high. You're gonna want like medium-ish. This was going for a little bit, so it's a little hot, but that's no problem. I should be able to scrape it off in no time. You don't really need to put any oil or anything in because ground beef, it already has such a high fat content. So you could just toss it right in. Maybe start it a little bit less hot, a little bit colder. But no worries, no problem. We'll be able to scrape it up. And then, there's the dog, man. Okay, we'll spread it out. Let that go for, I don't know, a couple minutes. Oh, and don't forget. Also, get a glass jar or a can. You can do one of the cans, actually, that's not a bad idea. Do one of the cans if you don't want to keep a jar under your sink to get for the fat. You can use one of the cans that you do like for the beans or the tomatoes, or one of them. Seems a little low. Feel free to season it as you go as well. Oh, and then obviously there's salt and pepper in that blend as well. I don't know the exact amount of salt I used because I didn't know if this was, what is it? What's the word for that? Iodized or kosher. So I went a little light with it. And then obviously you can season to taste as well. Would definitely recommend that after reducing. All right, so it's looking pretty nice. We'll get it going a little bit more. I'll draw out that fat, and then we'll skim it, not skim it. We'll pour it, and then toss the onions in. You don't need to pour out all the fat, because obviously they're good. It's good to use to cook the onions in. So just pour that out. I just kind of, you can use a lid for this, and it's probably smarter and safer and more efficient. But I always just block it with the little ting, the spatula. Okay. Beautiful. That's about, yeah, that's good. That's looking muy bien. Okay, spread it out. We'll let this settle. Beautiful. Okay, yeah. So there's still, you know, some fat in here, but it's not enough to drown it, which is good. Which is good indeed. So we'll get that high up. Toss your onions in. Break them apart. Let them go around a little bit, and then we're gonna add our jalapenos a little bit after the onions, because the onions take a little bit longer. You don't want the jalapenos to be quite cooked as much. So you let that go. Once again, deglazing and fond. Fond is kind of the stuff that sticks at the bottom, you see, of it cooking. I don't know why. I think it's a French term. And then use like a liquid. You could use, if you don't want to put in any of the spirits, either you're too young or you just don't want them, just the beef stock itself, a small amount, will do the trick just fine. I don't know if you can hear that, but as I'm moving around, and you can kind of hear that sticking noise. That's kind of how you know you're gonna get some fond on the bottom. Yeah. All right, we're gonna toss our seasoning then. That smells good. Nice. Ooh, that is looking good. And then especially after you add the seasoning, it's gonna stick to the pan more than it would unseasoned. I don't know why. I'm assuming because it just dries it out. The seasoning gets stuck. So that's cool. We're looking good. We are next going to take our tomato paste Plop that in. Once again, like a half a can. And then also, you know, depending on how much, you know, how many people you're gonna serve, what type of situation this is, you can always adjust the recipe accordingly. Either you need to halve it, double it, quadruple it. All you gotta do is just multiply everything by whatever or divide. Pretty simple stuff. So you mix that around, and once you do, I think that's called a pinçage. Very fun, very cool. And then I'm gonna pour some of it in already because it's starting to, I don't want it to burn. Boom. Whew. Nostrils. Okay, this is looking good. We're just gonna actually pour it all in. Mix it. I'm gonna turn it down. Be sure to watch your levels. You don't have to keep it at the same heat the whole time. Boom. Okay. Alright, we're going to cook that out a little bit more so we can get the real flavors of the spirits and the tomatoes taste. Alright, we've cooked it down some for a couple of minutes. It's looking really good, smelling like eggnog, which is kind of nice, you know, especially as it's getting colder. Can't wait to make eggnog. Next we're just gonna put the diced tomatoes and let that kind of do its thing. Probably cook that. You really want the tomatoey flavor so it doesn't get lost in the beef stock. As such. I completely forgot to put this in. Oops. Alright, I was actually meant to put these in a little bit earlier, but hey, you live and you learn. So we can toss our jalapenos in. You can keep the seeds out, keep them minimal. Depends on how much, you know, how spicy you want. You don't actually even have to use them. I've never used them before, so I don't know how spicy this is about to be. So I guess we'll find, because I already did put cayenne in here as well. So for both of these, a little goes a long way. I might have done a lot, but oh well. Not too bad. Get some apple cider in there. Okay. Alright, we're still cooking out our spirits, trying to get as much of the flavor as you can, the least amount of liquid. That brings it up. The less amount of liquid you have, the more intensified the flavor gets, which is good. And then we'll work on tossing. Next will be our beans, and then our stock, and then and the coffee, and then you just let it sit, hang out for a little while. It takes about, I don't know, what do I want to say? Maybe about 30 minutes to evaporate. If you want to put more stock in and then let it reduce even more to get more flavoring, you can absolutely do that. I feel like I put enough seasoning and stuff in here as well, but it's absolutely your prerogative. Alright. The dogmen are not happy. Okay. So for the beans, you're going to want to, I mean, maybe you're not going to want them, I don't know. Whatever you want to do. But I typically drain most of it, most of the can, but leave enough to just kind of sit, because they're not going to be ready immediately once you drain them to use. So keep a little bit so they don't dry out completely. And I don't know, maybe you like the more of a bean flavor, so you can just put that in anyways. Whatever works. Alright, we're going to put those in now. And just keep letting everything go. Alright, when you're cooking this, you're going to want to keep it on a medium, somewhere just above the medium-high heat, somewhere around there. And of course, if it's, obviously burning and, you feel like you're not ready, turn it down. You don't need to, or vice versa, when you feel like it's too low. So you just let that sit for a couple of minutes, and then add your stock and let it cook. Alright, so we let the tomatoes and the beans kind of all go. Those all reduce, build water, they let out water, so there's going to be... So you let that reduce a little bit more while you can, and then you toss in your stock. I like to do, obviously this is also kind of a lot, so you can just put however much you want. I tend to go a little heavy on the coffee, but it's really up to you. Once again, you actually also don't even need to add coffee. A lot of this you can just kind of tweak if you want, but this is what I feel like makes the perfect chili. And then incorporate that, mix it around. I've got some chili flakes here too. These ones seem a little old, so they're not going to be that hot. But you can usually tell by the dullness of the color. The fresh ones that are really hot are the vibrant ones, you can really see. And the darker and they get, the less heat they contain, which I find helpful. So we put it all in, and now we're just going to reduce for about 30-ish minutes or so. Alright, so we've been letting it go for about 40... It went a little bit longer than I anticipated, so about 40 minutes. Also, I'm sure you see a different pot. I realized I didn't need a pot that big, so I ended up putting it into a smaller one so that it just kind of less space. So it should reach about this consistency. You can go a little bit more, you can go a little bit less, a little bit runnier, you can do a little thicker, but I feel like this is generally about the consistency that most people would do. So we're now ready to plate. Get a big nice spoonful, nice dollop. Boom. You can customize it however you want. I like to do some cheese. Boom. Sour cream. And some jalapenos. If you do jalapenos and you use your hands, do not touch your face after you're going to be having a really bad time later. And you just, I don't know, you can put them on top, you can put them under. I know some people do like the Frito casserole or whatever, chip casserole, something like that. Whatever you want, or just to dip, however you want to do it. But this is what I view as the perfect game day chili